Hello everyone, this is DGD here with a 5-minute GamimgDad review of one of the more modern classics in base building, Factorio. Before we get into it, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, or leave a comment below. So, today we're gonna take a look at some gameplay clips and discuss what you can expect when you decide to get into the world of Factorio. Factorio is a base building game, or what you might call a base management simulator, where the end goal is researching and building your way to launching a rocket into orbit. You are playing as a survivor on a very hostile planet where you will be building your base or bases. You will spend most of your time trying to automate various tasks and construction processes so that you don't have to do them manually anymore. Basically building a functioning rocket factory which can sustain itself with materials and processing these into different parts that you need for researching or as a component in other parts, other buildings, or whatever you are creating. It might sound like you're basically making yourself more and more obsolete, but don't worry, you will always have lots and lots of fun stuff to do in this game. So straight off the bat, this game might look incredibly complex, and in some aspects it actually can be, but luckily the game starts out slow and you're building your way to the giant factory one building at a time. So once you reach this state of factory, you will have an understanding of all the buildings and what they do for you. The primary focus of your job in this game is making the factory run smooth. And if you're into process optimizing, sandbox, base building, or resource management in any way, this game will keep you entertained for hours. This is the sort of game where you always just need to sort this one last thing out. And when you look up from your computer, it's another season outside. This game is just a great game. And a very important, or at least incredibly helpful part of the game, when you are building this massive factory, is the blueprint system that is in place. So when you come up with some brilliant layout ideas, you can save them and easily copy them to other parts of your factory, or even to factories you might create in another game session. And believe me, you will start quite a few game sessions. Because as soon as you're some hours into the game, you'll find yourself planning your factory all over again, with a new take on what you would do better if you were to start all over again. But DGD, you might say, what if I can't come up with the optimal layouts for resource input and crafting output? Do not worry, there's a huge community with a ton of designs that you can apply to your very own factory, and if you aren't into using other people's designs, you can actually go above and beyond with the energy consumption equations. So if you prefer, you can calculate everything from the bottom up. I myself prefer a somewhat middle ground approach by seeking inspiration from a lot of different players, either from streams or from the Steam workshop, where you can get a lot of very cool ideas, and then also trying to expand the ideas from one area of crafting to another myself. So to get a bit more into the game, once you've actually started building your factory, you will discover that you emit quite the amount of pollution into the atmosphere, which obviously is a bad thing. And this is where the hostile planet that you've crashed on comes into play. This planet is inhabited by the so-called biters, and as soon as your pollution clouds start reaching their home, they will come after you and try to destroy the source of the pollution. This is actually a very cool game mechanic because these biters can actually prove quite the challenge. Unlike some of the other sandbox games I've played where the enemies actually have zero or almost zero impact on your game. This is, though, obviously still a sandbox game, so you can decide if you want to focus on military, base building, or both. Whenever you start a game, there's a lot of different seeds that will cater to your playstyle. It's up to you if you want to focus on your factory without any pesky aliens ruining it all the time, or if you want to fight for every bit of land, and of course everything in between. Actually, if you're into trains and railroads, or maybe just nostalgic about some of the old Transport Tycoon games, there's even a setup that encourages you to build small bases connected by railways, where you transport your resources by train. So, whether you're fighting aliens and trying to stay alive, or peacefully optimizing your factory, this game is a lot of fun. And the fun is only enhanced once you start your multiplayer journey. There are obviously some servers and communities that you can join, but in my opinion just grabbing a friend and playing some good old co-op factory building is so satisfying. This being a GamimgDad review, I need to touch on one last thing, and that is the ability to pause the game when you're playing it. Even if you're in a co-op mode with your best buddy, you always have the option to pause the game whenever your real life needs you to. So, and my final conclusion, this game is obviously GGD approved. This game has a lot of value and is a must-have for you sandbox-based building gamers out there. This is GGD here, I'll see you in the next one.